I came here a few times between 2005 and 2007, or 2009, yeah. I mean, it's an 180-degree change, isn't it? I mean, the infrastructure has been built up. It's just totally developed. And I think, to see such vast development and such broad infrastructure and such good infrastructure in such a short period, that is definitely, I believe, a lesson that can be transferred to many other African countries and other countries overall, to learn a lesson of how to get infrastructure development at such a quick pace, I mean, you land at the airport. If you came 20, 25 years ago, this airport didn't exist. But if you get to this airport today, I mean, when I landed, it took me 5 minutes to get out of the airport. It took me 2 minutes to get into the taxi. When you drive on the roads here, I see people walk in Ethiopia a lot. And it just shows the type of design that you have in this country, where people are driving, people are walking.
This is my second time to be here at the African Union in Addis Ababa. And I've found a lot of transformation so far concerning the country, but also concerning the potential of Africa. I see Addis Ababa as one of the leading in terms of uniting all African countries, and it's our land that we believe it's best to transform all of African countries.
If you look at the quality of services are great, efficient, public transport is efficient, mobile and telecoms are efficient. So it's very, very clear that a lot of thought and a lot of resources have gone into this. And at the top of it is the political leadership in this country. The political leadership, of course, is very serious and very meticulous and have employed a lot of thought and, of course, the correct and proper professional services and professional and efficient administration that has executed this so meticulously. And I think that's the word, the infrastructure, it's not haphazard, it's extremely meticulous. I don't know if that makes sense, but the design, the experience, when I mean experience, even experiences in traffic. Although there's congestion, but the traffic experience, it flows well, the roads are well built, and it's modern and there's a vibe. If you drive out at night, it's beautiful.
A lot of African Union summits, and I will continue to come to this beautiful country, peaceful and developing very well. Developing in terms of roads, the roads are very nice. Developing in terms of other infrastructure like buildings. 5 years back, what you see in Ethiopia today is not what we had. So Ethiopia today is moving, progressing. It's a learning lesson to us, the other side. Even as Uganda, we are picking a lot of things. At the airport, there is good work being done there. And we are told Ethiopia is building a new airport, a huge one, the best in Africa. So we have also picked on that to do it in our country. The roads have been expanded from 2 lanes to 5. The hotels have been painted well. The buildings are looking nice. The hotels, good service. Now here at the African Union headquarters, fantastic. The facilities and everything. So we are learning a lesson, and at the end of it all, we shall take it to our country. So I've been here many times, and every time I come, there is a lesson to learn. And even on the side of media used to be small, but now media is expanded. You have so many TVs, so many radios, even online presentation. So a lot to be learned from Ethiopia.
I've been coming to Addis for the African Union Summit for the past 15 years, if not 20 years. And every time I come to Addis, something is completely new. I remember 10 years ago when we were coming, we will have all these buildings coming up. You go back, by the time you come up, they say a building that is up. Now that I came in, I was completely amazed by the level of development, by the level of infrastructures that have been put up, the flowers, the beauty, and I even took a picture and put it on my status, and I said, Africa's capital city. And my 23-year-old son, who is in Rome, looked at my status and he said, why are you calling it African capital city? I said, well, this is the city where the African Union is headquartered since 1963 when the OAU was born. But now we're talking about African Union, not the OAU anymore. But well, yeah. So, but what I'm saying is that the leadership of Ethiopia need to be commended for putting up this beautiful infrastructure to host the African leaders as they make decisions related to the African continent.
I think first of all there has to be political decisions, very clear, serious political decisions, good professional administration, and perfect meticulous execution. And also it's clear that that whoever is, not whoever, but it's clear that the political leadership here have set mandates and have set targets, because you can't get this type of development without setting targets. It doesn't happen haphazardly, and it's extremely well orchestrated, well coordinated, and it's a great country. I'd come back here anytime. I'd come back here with my family. I'd come back here with my friends. I advise anyone to come back here. Weather is beautiful, you know. I always have chest problems. I always cough, but when I came here, the air is beautiful and clean. It's great, and people are extremely friendly, and like I said, it's extremely safe. It's extremely safe. You can leave your bag anywhere. You can leave your belongings anywhere. You can walk anytime. Last night we were with some colleagues. We just walked onto the main road. People are walking. People don't ask who you are. Foreigners feel extremely welcome. People are extremely friendly here, and it really is. I mean, Ethiopia is a leading nation in Africa. It is a leading nation in African Renaissance. It's a leading nation in Pan-Africanism under the leadership and vision of His Excellency Emperor Haile Selassie. You know, and I'm sure he would be extremely proud of what Ethiopians as a nation have accomplished today.
Addis Ababa has been leading now, and currently I've seen huge transformation, especially for infrastructure, of which I think all of us African countries, this is the way forward, because without good infrastructure, it's not very easy to even promote our trade, and also to have a lot of potentials which can be transformed into power for generating great Africa. So Addis Ababa has made it. I believe Africa at large, we are going to make it.
Ethiopia has done a lot of planning, and you don't only plan, but you also budget and allocate money. You don't only allocate, but you also release. In other parts of the world, they plan, they budget, they allocate, but they don't release. So if you don't release, you don't do work. Here you plan, you budget, you allocate funds, then you go ahead to release the funds for work to do. You don't end there, you also monitor, check on, follow up the money where it has gone, then evaluate progress. How far have you done? What is it you've been able to do? How have you done it? What challenges have you faced? What made you face those challenges? What risks? And how can you go over those risks in the next project? Because what we have, people face risks, they don't address them, they start new projects, and again they face the very risks they faced in the previous. So that's why you see projects are never ending. But I think for Ethiopia, it has had all these I've mentioned. So that's why you are able to see that projects end. You construct an airport, you end it. You expand the roads, you end them. You build the buildings in town, you end them. You engage in governance, you end it. So I think this is what we are saying. A lot, the model of Ethiopia is good, fantastic. It can be carried on to other African countries. We need to benchmark. We need to see what is lacking in our side. We come to Ethiopia and we pick the best practice so that we can also move together as Africans.
When our leaders are coming, do they see what we are seeing? And do they kind of get impressed so that what they are seeing here happening, they can go and implement it back home? Of course, it can't be at the same level, but it can be, you know, step by step. Each one can move within, you know, within their means. But it's very, very important that we copy what is happening here, and within our means, we start doing this in our own countries. And before you know it, Africa will be the Africa we want. 2063 agenda says the Africa we want. The hospitality is brilliant, extremely brilliant. You know, when I came from my hotel, I was dropped by my driver at the gate. And, you know, they were like, no, not here, not there. So I said, okay, let me come out and I'll go because I think this is where I'm going. Just go. He drove back, and as I was standing, he went on the other side and he said, no, I'll wait until you get in. Are you okay? I said, yes. I was impressed by that he's not only leaving me, that he has not only completed his responsibility of dropping me where I have to go, but he wanted to make sure that I am also in. And that is not only that one driver. It talks more about the humility and the assistance, you know, the culture of the Ethiopian people toward the guest, and that is highly appreciated.
As resources flow into development, automatically the job creation is created in the skills that are needed for the infrastructure development. So if you're going to build a city now, you need to employ engineers, quantity surveyors, architects, accountants, administrators, etc. And at the end of the day, not everyone in society can become a doctor, not everyone can become an engineer. You know, you need strong administrators, you need skilled people in finance, you need skilled people in even artisans, you know, bricklayers, etc. So once political decisions are made and the resources flow within the process of development, that automatically opens up different layers of sustainable employment. Then once that is done, then you actually have a city like what's happening here now, which is now it's attracting diplomatic activity, it's attracting investment, it's attracting tourism, and from that then now there are different forms and different sectors of employment that are opening now, whether it be in tourism, in tech, in research. And I say research because the African Union is here, so much diplomatic activity happening here, so many research institutes, so much information. So of course the future for Addis is great, you know, in research, in technology, in being a hub for disseminating information, disseminating culture, disseminating African culture, you know. You're at the forefront of Pan-Africanism, and if this beautiful African Union set up here for a reason, you know, because it's surely the founders of the African Union acknowledge the importance and the seminary law of Ethiopia in developing the African continent, and without a shadow of a doubt, it's leading.
For those that are still young this way, also you are in school, study and work hard. You get the knowledge to be understanding, you get the skills, you get good behavior and culture, you get all these good attitudes and the proper mindset so that you can participate, you can be part of the development and governance and the democracy of Ethiopia.
By 2050, Africa will be the continent that everybody would want to have because of the young people that they are, because of the fertile land that we have, because of the resources that we have, and because of the willingness of our leaders and the willingness of the African people themselves to move to the next level.
If you walk in many other countries, every second person is smoking on the street. In Ethiopia, I don't see I don't see the habit of smoking that much. It might just be my observation. But you know, what else can youth do other than prepare themselves by studying hard, working hard, respect the elders, you know, follow the advice and the wisdom and the vision of the elders, because at the end of the day, what youth experience and benefit from today, whether they're benefiting from infrastructure, from education, the safety and security, it was created by generations before them. Irrespective of the challenges, Ethiopia had many challenges, but it has managed to overcome these challenges and produce this great metropolis we're in now. So as you move forward as a younger generation tend to be very critical and sometimes just, you know, want to review, revisit, change. That's not always good. The Ethiopian people have invested a lot in developing and bringing this country to where it is now. So the question is, how do youth take responsibility and ownership of taking this to the next level? It can't be done without education, but there has to be discipline, There has to be deep appreciation for the culture, for the ethics that emanate from this culture. You know, Ethiopia has a huge Muslim population, a huge Christian population that has coexisted extremely well for centuries and centuries, and that speaks about the deep respect for culture, thought, and identity in this country. And this is what is needed in the world today. If you look across the world, we have serious ethical issues and the way in which peoples, nations relate to each other. Today, presidents of countries are making such strange defamatory comments against other nations as a whole. So the issue of ethics and the way people relate, it's not a personal interhuman issue, it's an issue of states, countries, and leaders of countries being defamatory towards other nations. Hence, nations and peoples need to use what exists within their culture, like in Ethiopia, the culture of tolerance, of respect, and the numerous ethics that emanate from the culture here. So if youth understand that and know how to use that and apply that with modern faculties of science and education and whatever else, then you are leaders and you'll be even greater leaders.
What matters most is the ability to change the face of Africa. And Addis Ababa has shown a very good example. It's exemplary for most of us African countries. And I believe we can make our Africa beautiful, okay, and create that culture that we have as Africans, that we are able, we have the ability, and we have the power, but also the potential. Because there's a huge resources found here in Africa, of which if we can use them, it's very easy to transform our countries, but also niching into the capacities and innovations especially by engaging youth, okay, to be part of the transformation of this beautiful Africa. This is our time. Let's go for Africa, making it beautiful.
What is needed for Africa is to work together, to organize ourselves, to be able to complement each other, leverage each country's possibility so that we can work together. For instance, if Ethiopia can produce wheat, then every other country they can produce wheat can collaborate with Ethiopia, and then we get wheat from Ethiopia. If another one is producing maize, then we do that. And we trade among ourselves. The problem is that we don't like trading among ourselves. We will still go and get wheat elsewhere. You still go and get tomatoes elsewhere, while those that we have on the continent are going rotten.